Stream is on. So we're going to be taking a look at this Infernal Shrines game played in the Nexomania Development League, which is a league specifically for players in levels bronze and silver, I believe, maybe with a couple of golds smattered in there. Um, the goal of the exercise is to get people more familiar with watching replays, kind of critiquing the play, and looking for um, ways to refine their gameplay going forward.
Only because you said the stream is up. Where
Yes.
should I be watching that at?
I thought I was live in Disc already, but there we go. I'm also live in Discord. You can watch it here or on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/special chai, spelled just like my Discord handle. So going into this, looking at both team compositions, um, just kind of taking stock of what we're looking at. So on the blue team, what can either of you tell me about what this composition is kind of bringing to the table? What some of their goals might be, how you might guess they might want to handle the map.
They want to do a lot of pushing away from the objective,
Okay.
probably.
And what makes you say that?
Just the Zagara is a really good pusher.
Okay.
Mostly the Zagara.
Cool. Yeah, Zagara is a very strong split push hero, great at clearing the lanes. Um, she's also a major part of the
The
team's splash profile.
I say the Baneling Barrage is a great objective clear.
For sure. Yeah, the Zagara Key, the Baneling Barrage, is one of their primary objectives. Splash, along with Vala W, the Scatter Shot, and Blaze's Q. Those are like their main objective monkey secure, and their wave clear. So cool. So they've got good wave clear handled. Um, they've got good single target with Vala and Karazim. Um, what struggles do you think the Blues composition might have going into this match? What do they want to maybe avoid?
Not as bursty as the other team, so pointless fights out in random spots.
Mm-hmm. That's a good observation. So brawling is not probably their strong suit, especially with a Karazine, a low sustain healer, usually going to have one heal rotation per fight on a 12-second cooldown. That's in like a melee AoE. Um, and then yeah, the Hanzo and Ming are like long range siege poke heroes. So being able to get enduring confrontation against them is probably not ideal. So cool, good observations. Besides that observation about the red team having good burst and poke potential, do you see anything else that they're kind of ideally bringing to the table here?
They have good pursuit too. Hanzo can jump over obstacles, leaving teleport.
Mm-hmm.
Lucio chase, so you're not going to outrun them trying to get away.
Yeah, for sure. So the blue team definitely doesn't want to be caught out in the open. Red team probably has some good rotational speed. Um, I think both teams probably are bringing a similar wave clear profile. The Johanna really makes up for the lack of wave clear for the mage in Ming. And then Hanzo, depending on build, can also get some respectable clear at 4 with the explosive arrow, which is usually the build for this map. So cool. So um, both teams brought good wave clear to the table. Both teams brought some good single target and splash DPS. Um, and then they have a slightly different game plan. One has that like poke burst game plan, where the other has a bit of split potential, and then some possible like contest using like Vala in the late game. Because Vala is like one of those hyper scalers where at 20 she really turns on. But before that, Blue's team fight is probably weaker. You had made that evaluation that the Zagara being a split pusher is going to be a factor here. So we'll take a look and see how that goes forward. And I'll probably run at faster speed through the earlier like laning phase, unless I like really see something kind of crop up. Was there anything that really came about in this game that you recall um, that maybe gave you some struggle or some pause throughout the gameplay?
I feel like I remember right there, Hanzo was pretty good. It got real painful.
Yeah. So,
and actually like getting to their back lane to like handle those people was a little troubling.
so Johanna is a great wall tank in that she provides a lot of barrier between any like divers or people that want to just like walk past her. So unless you have multiple heroes capable of getting in and diving squishy targets, that will present a challenge, which it seems like you felt. A quick observation: like the blue team here has been able to clear this wave and left, and now red team is splitting here while still having minions to clear. I'm a pretty strong believer in finish the wave before you leave, because if your Lucio and your Johanna are stuck here while your DPS rotate, this Muradin can now jump on the DPS, like basically with impunity. Um, and that's kind of part of the power of like that early game rotational advantage. Like Joe is still clearing this wave, and now you have a 4v2 for probably 20 seconds. And this can easily, like this kind of wave advantage can easily snowball into like opportune invades on these early camps here. Because like if they're stuck between choosing waves and camps, like you can easily deny XP. So this is great, like clearing the wave quickly. Looks like Ming got a pretty good orb on the wave to get the melee minions, but all the archers are still up, which is really a problem for them. And now you have a group of 4 that can encounter 2 or 2, but they're now kind of stuck in a hard place. This is a really good rotation. I like that. That was a good Stormbolt. I'm not sure if anybody had abilities up for that, but definitely if you're looking for Stormbolts, you know, uh, get the tank. Because I don't know who's playing the tank here. Um, calling out that they're looking for that pop of damage, because Lucio could have been sent to the Hall of Storms, or at least delayed there with a little extra pop of damage. Still good swing. They're stuck on the wave. So it is totally possible. So back there, Joe interrupted your rotation because everybody was kind of like in the center area. You kind of want to decide if you are going to rotate, get the wave first, or rotate, get the camp first. But you have to make the decision, and the decision means that you're losing some XP to them. It's totally possible to get this wave at 1 minute quickly because you have Zagara, and then get on this camp a little quicker. And it's not like a big deal, but those little rotational advantages, like that could get you this wave plus your camp and then the invade here. Because you're already so far ahead, you know what I mean? Like you're on this camp well before they've even started, and you're done as they're starting. So like right here, I think this is a great opportunity to potentially engage, especially if Zagara can tap. Because like Ming is really weak early game, especially into something like Zagara that's throwing all those minions. It's a good rotation from the Leoric to get ahead of the Blaze. Is Blaze? Yeah, Blaze is the auto attack one. Um, I'm not sure
We
if it
didn't
would
want to
be
invade. Sorry, we didn't want to invade their camp there because the Leo was
because the
down.
Leo's floating.
The Blaze wasn't.
Mm-hmm. That's a great observation. Um, it probably was possible for the Blaze to look for that invade just like the Leoric did. Like Leo does have a small amount of wave prio early, against the Blaze. Um, but if you're seeing yourself with a rotational advantage like you had, you can totally call your Blaze down for this invade. And the invade doesn't actually have to net you kills or the camp. If it slows down their macro, you will continue to abuse the macro lead that you've already established. It's good that you get the wave. Yeah, that's great. Like you clear a wave here as their camp is dying. The macro advantage is stacking up pretty quick. I like that. I think a lot of games can be won off of good macro exclusively. Kind of standard stuff here. Both teams probably want to look at this bottom camp. I love that you're trying to bully them off their globe, especially with Joe and Hanzo with no mana at all. I think that's fantastic. I love that. As you start to see their heroes kind of run out of resources and mana, especially when you have heroes that are less cooldown and mana centric, like the Vala, and even Zagar to a lesser extent. Like if you still have a volley of minions, you're still your full hero. This is almost like a 3 or a 4 versus 3 because of their lack of resources. Like they have the bodies, but Joe without mana is not a hero. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Good Stormbolt, good damage. I'm really surprised to see no invade here. Is that because of the camp pressure in mid, maybe? Like seeing Leo get ahead on the rotation is kind of my best guess.
I think we were just slow on it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I think we call that Joe has to back here, and we do go for it right here,
Awesome.
right soon.
Yeah,
Very
I think that's
cool.
literally the call that did it.
Awesome. Yeah, great awareness. Great store, Muradin positioning, holding that. Good vision from the Zagara. Check. Okay. Yeah, that's great.
That's the thing about this game with the Zagara and the Hanzo. I think both teams knew where the other team was the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing the tanks control a lot of vision, which is fantastic. That's like #1 job for most tanks is to control vision. So yeah, that's fantastic. Good vision control. I like that you're using this camp instead of grabbing it and saying, adios. You are starting to run out of resources on your Zagara, and you tapped probably like 60 seconds ago, so you won't have 4 full heroes here if they actually come to fight you. But getting siege is good. Like punching buildings is almost always the right decision if you can do it without risk. I am a little surprised to see a Creed of the Hunter with repeating arrow on the Vala. I'm not sure if that was misclick or not, but it's just like a little bit of a build, and not anti-synergy, but like you're losing a
Build
lot of
faux pas.
yeah. The big thing is like Creed of the Hunter really gets a lot of extra pop from Death Dealer, which is the level 4 that competes with repeating arrow. So it makes your next auto attack after you tumble do a colossal amount of damage, and then also resets your tumble on kill. So you can, on the shrine especially, like tumble, shoot, tumble, shoot, tumble, shoot on the shrine monkeys, and your tumbles cost you no mana, and they're reset on every auto attack, which is pretty strong.
Oh, that's neat. I didn't know that worked on the shrine minions.
Yep, it works on any target, so heroes, minions, like even mercenaries. The tumble reset works. Anything that you kill, which is pretty cool. It's a great talent synergy. Another consideration for Vala is the W build, just because of the safety and simplicity of it. and how it like the cone of W build covers almost the entire shrine area with talents, but not a must take. Um, yeah, and then make sure to everybody takes their talents. I forget sometimes too. You definitely don't want to be stepping up. I know Murden's health is kind of free. If you get out, you can always trade it back. But when you're low on bodies, there's almost no benefit to staying there. Like it's all risk, no reward. Because Lucio also means like all their health comes back for free over time. Okay, that push was great. I think it's possible that instead of the Kharazim punching the wall here, they could have been punching the fort for a little extra value. Not fort, the tower. But I don't think it goes down. But good decision to push. Good that Zagara Hearth, everybody's full on mana, and I think has taps. So, blue team is coming in at a good time. Hanzo's backing at a perfect time. Ming is hearthing. So everybody's going to be basically full health mana, which is great community objective. Leo's soaking for the red team, trying to catch up to that little bit. I do like that Leo's trying to get the red team to 7, but the red team stepping in the 4v5 is a little dangerous. Like a Storm Bolt or a Blaze Charge into this Nazebo is more or less instant death, even though you're not a bursty team. Yeah, I didn't. Why did
I positioned poorly right there because I was trying to put a vision down just as everyone showed up.
Oh, were you Lucio here?
No, I was Zagara. I got pelted.
Oh, gotcha.
Trying to put down this
right
next
here?
creep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this one right here, I got wrecked for a moment.
Yeah. I don't think creep is something that you want to prioritize mid-fight, especially with Joe there. She's going to scoop and blind your creep to death. Your Blaze gets a great stun there. So even though you get chunked, I think you're fairly safe.
Yeah, I get to hang out.
Yep, there's some good CC that's put on this Lucio. And even though like they get a lot of damage down, missing the extra oomph from Leoric, I think just costs them this fight in a big way. There's a lot of poke being taken from the Ming. So when you have a long range shrine clearer like the Zagara, your team can actually position in the back half of this shrine. Your bruisers can control the middle area, and then just round up the monkeys and bring them towards your siege character. So while they do technically have 2 siege against your 1, like 2 long range poke heroes, Hanzo didn't take the shrine clear talent for reasons I'm sure.
Scatter.
Yeah. And so really like their shrine clear without Leoric is pretty bad. So just something to keep in mind, that you don't actually have to step into this shrine, and it's actually probably against your desires to do so because of their long range like artillery poke. They're just going to throw damage into this death pit. So if you're standing like back here as Zagara and just funneling into here, you might have a safer time. Leoric comes in and makes it a bit harder, but a 4v5 is a 4v5. Yeah, that was great. Your front line did a good job occupying space and eating the damage so that people didn't get picked off. I think if the red team had chosen to wait for Leoric to be there and be present, they could have had a much better chance of occupying that shrine. One thing that kind of happened there was that, if one of the teams is going for the shrine hard at level 6, you're not going to soak an entire level 7 before they get 30 monkeys. So if both teams have a bruiser going for level 7, then like great. But if only one is doing it, then you need to have a really strong game plan of how you're not going to lose bodies in that 4v5 if you're the team that's trying to outsoak 7. Both teams got rotations, which is great. This is good from the red team, I think, because Leo can stop the wave from crashing mid, and red team is getting to punch down a building. If they would have focused this tower dies for sure. I think also, like right here, they're gonna see Zagara, and they probably have a good idea that Blaze is not there. Like red team should also take this camp without much contest. I don't think Vala without Zagara is going to give them much trouble. See if they actually take that play. I'm not super. I get that Ming is trying to get this soak. This is actually creating an interesting dilemma. So Leo has to choose between double soaking and losing structure top to Zagara and this camp, or making Ming, who's not great at clear, cover the soak issue. So that's actually a really great demonstration of what you assessed earlier, that the Zagara split push is going to be a significant factor in this game. That's a great Stormbolt that Karazim and Vala, I don't know we're ready for. If Karazim jumps on this Stormbolt target, it probably should die. Great Stormbolt though. Yeah, Hanzo at half health. Karazim can probably take that down quickly. Vala too. Especially like Vala with Death Dealer is a lot of damage if you tumble in for the pop. And now, you know, earlier, red could have taken this camp without much contest. And now, looking at the positions, Zagara forced Leo to cover top, which Leo ate most of their HP. Blaze is now in mid with wave cryo. And now you can force a 5v4 on camp with 10s. It's a big swing.
Yeah, we need to wait like 10 more seconds for Blaze to take that mid wave.
Yeah. Well, so starting this, I think is okay. But Muradin should be in the bush so that Johanna can't walk up for free. Because this bush, any tank in the game can stand in it, and no other tank can walk past that tank. Like they don't even have to press buttons. Most heroes, if you stand in the middle, the other tanks can't walk past.
Literal roadblock.
Yeah. Never underestimate the power of having hitbox. Like it's actually like one of the best abilities in the game for tanks, especially tanks with like lower impact abilities. So like Stitches is a great example. Like his hook is kind of like an ultimate. Like it's a long cooldown and it guarantees a kill if it hits, but it is rarer to hit, but Stitches' hitbox is like the size of this whole pipe. Like Stitches can actually stand here, and very few heroes get to walk past. So now this is probably going to go badly for blue team because it doesn't look like the Zagara minions are in the pit to block Ming shots. And then you've spent abilities on the camp. And Blaze is not quite on the way yet. Good use of Avatar to stay alive. You almost get some kills there. Karazim goes down. Yeah, I think that's you know, a combination of, you know, I wasn't in comms. But, you know, if Blaze has minions on fire in mid, he can just leave and come to the fight. Yeah, little elements of execution. If Johanna isn't allowed to walk past the Muradin, like that whole fight kind of doesn't happen because she just gets Like she gets stuck here and W's the Murden, which does nothing. Yeah, that happened. It was good execution by Red to walk onto the point as Joe and get the big scoop. I'm a little surprised to see Sin's exposed. I don't think it's bad, but Johanna being an immobile tank, you usually want to take one of the mobility options.
Speed boost on
on
condemn.
7. Yeah, there's like, so I like that talent. Because like 10% move speed just makes you faster than the base speed of almost all heroes. And then the mount option like is less popular, but I think it's still usable. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think it's bad. It's just not meta, but that's fine. I like heavy impact on Murden. That talent a lot because it allows you to set up your storm bolts without having to use thunderclap to slow the target. I think Joe backs here after getting the wave, maybe. Actually, red team can probably take this fort, and it might be a good option. Something to consider for red team, especially since Zagara is not showing to clear this wave. Like the red team doesn't know where she went, but they know that she's not there. That's that is not sure if that's a safe invade for blue.
We had that debate mid-match too.
Yeah, well, now you get to see. Spoil it for me. How did it turn out?
Fine.
I recall we got it.
So you know Leo is here. You don't know Lucio's here. You know Hanzo's here. So you have 2 accounted for, 3 missing on map. Shrine is popping. So they're probably not going to come to their camp when Shrine is popping.
No, 2 seconds on it.
Yeah. You've got 4 here plus... What's the other body? Zagara is...
I'm in a Nidus.
Got it.
Getting mana.
So no chance for Zagara to join. This should be a dead Zagara. But we'll see how it turns out. So the red team, even if you know your camp is getting invaded, these 2 aren't going to stop it. But they can definitely get this kill on the Zagara, and that basically guarantees you the shrine. Because Zagara is like their...
Said they split.
Yep. And like, even if they had split in this direction, there's no way they win that fight. Oof. So that's fortunate. Like, I think that this is not the most egregious. I think that with the vision of 2, you're safe-ish. Especially, well, I don't know.
With the timing of it.
Yeah. I think that there's like, it's a coin flip. And you have mobile enough heroes. Like, Zagara's your main risk, and she wasn't there. Everybody else can kind of dash in a way. So it's probably safe to take that. Maybe more risk than you need, because you've been controlling these shrines pretty well. That's a good pop on Lucio, but no real way to follow it up. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but like, if you... Like, I would rather you have popped Johanna, because everybody can shoot her. Even though she's probably not going to die, you're still going to put damage on that matters. Like, she'll have to use her D when she comes out of the stun, if you pop her instead of the Lucio. This is really good that you're all getting the clear done quickly while they're occupied on this camp. You can, as the tank, round up the monkeys here and bring them further back, so you're kind of ensuring that your DPS have them rather than Leoric, who can just swipe those for free. That's a good entomb by the Leoric. It's always good to pay attention to what lines you're walking in, because if you walk in a line to give the Leoric that entomb, you're in for danger time. So what's going on here? I think Blaze is coming in for this flank, which looks pretty juicy. Does Murden have... My replayer is bugged. I'd like to know if Murden has hammer, because a hammer here makes the situation a lot cleaner, but this is big scary. And this is just a good combo. Right Entomb by the Leoric.
Yeah, it was a pull by Joe, an Entomb by Leo, and an arrow by Hanzo all at the same time.
Yep. And this is kind of like an issue that you see with certain heroes on this map, is like they got a great engage on you and couldn't throw the right abilities on the targets because like Shrine Monkeys are in the way, and like Ming is in the pit here where she can't effectively hit targets that are being crowd controlled. That's kind of one of the things that makes Ming hard to draft on maps in general, but particularly this map. And Hanzo too, like Hanzo with scatter build more or less has no control over whether they're going to get on the targets unless they're a real like ace Hanzo. So this fight turns around. Looks like well for the blue team for a while. We'll see 1-for-1. The pokes seem to be trading out actually pretty well now. Yeah, Vala goes down. Close fight. Good and like really good engage by the red team. Now it looks like Zag is gonna go and do Zag things, which is awesome. Getting split push value.
Red team has summoned a frozen Punisher.
This is a really even game. I like that. Let's see. I'm glad that Zag is getting this fort. I do have an amount of concern that 4 people are not here to deal with the Punisher. But we'll see how that plays out. Because Zag can do a bit of a double soak. In case Blaze wants to aid in the defense. And Blaze does good PvE damage with his level 1 and level 4. Because the Punisher is a monster, which counts for that level 4 bonus damage talent, Incinerator Gauntlets. So if you like press your level 1 and just Blaze auto attacking, you can burn pretty effectively. It's a good engage by the Johanna with the Punisher Sun. I have reservations about combustion, but I think those are like well documented. Like the Karzim continues to be a pick that I think is struggling to be at its most effective. Was the original plan in the draft to use it as like a single target, like isolate kill against any particular hero?
As far as draft discussion goes, he actually didn't say that he was going to go damage build. He just said that Karazim was one of his preferred healers out of the 3 that he was showing.
Okay. So more of a comfort pick than for like draft synergy reasons is the impression that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I definitely vote for comfort picks over what is like quote unquote meta. I think playing quote unquote suboptimal hero at 100% is much better than playing a meta hero at 50%. Yeah. Some good stuns from the Blaze, but with John Cena up, it was hard for people to follow up. I wonder if Blaze had come from a safer angle and aided in the kill of the giant, it would have been a little bit safer. Or with Bunker, you can kind of do those wild flanks a little more freely because you have that big escape on your R button. I actually think. Okay, so the red team is leaving. That's wise. I see a lot of teams, they'll get that kill, and even if their offlaner is off doing offlaner things, they will still go for like an invade here, and it's great that they didn't get greedy and do that, especially with no resources. Trying to save the invade. So at this point, it kind of looks like everybody's just clearing lanes that they see. While Zagara is a great like 1v1 bully and split pusher, and you do have a reasonably good amount of vision control, it is often safest for the four to be together, not exclusively for Zagara's benefit, but for the benefit of the three. Because if these, if a four moved up and towards mid, that can become a 3v4 pretty quickly, especially with the snap engage that they have with Bless Shield and Tomb. And then their burst potential, like it could easily be a pick or two, especially with Reset Ming. Just like a general thing to look out for. So red team appears to be posturing for something. Hanzo's probably got a good arrow lined up right here. Karazin doesn't have cleanse yet, so that could be a potential big engage, especially with Leoric looming. Ming's not quite in the picture yet, but she's getting there. That's a great snap arrow. And that's, yeah, that I guess a little bit of premonition. If Zagara and the three were four, that rotation is a lot less possible by the red team. Great move by the red team to see that opportunity and to get it. I do have to ask, why Thunderstrike on 13 for the Muradin? Because that was you, Porthos, right?
Yeah.
A preference pick, or is that for the armor bonus? I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that talent.
A little bit for the armor bonus. And I took Reverberation at 4, which I'm probably going to switch to taking the double clap at 4 and the healing at 13. But yeah, so I took Thunderstrike because I took Reverberation, and like the healing probably not as good with just Reverberation.
Yeah, so the healing clap on 13, you will typically get about 10% of your HP, maybe 15%, because it's 5% per hero hit. And depending on your level, that's maybe 400 or 500 HP on a clap, which isn't bad. But you, in my mind, and this is not like gospel, but tying your HP sustain to your peel or your like damage redux ability, which is your clap, like that's how you reduce enemy damage, is kind of a little bit restricting. where with the Thunderburn talent or whatever it's called, the Burning Rage on 13, because you've been nailing your Storm Bolts this game. The healing outweighs, like it does more healing than the Clap talent, and then it also adds damage. And especially against their team that can't really deal with Murden on their face, it kind of makes you live forever.
Okay.
It might be worth taking a look at. Not saying it's like, gonna affect this game, but like this 13 is your assassin Murden, where your gameplay is to jump in, Stormbolt, clap one hero, use your reset talent, Stormbolt, clap them again, get the kill. Because other like the Dwarf Toss armor duration is really only benefiting your 30 armor after toss, when you already have the 75 armor that lasts an infinite amount of time after your jump. And like their main damage on you, Muradin, is going to come from Hanzo autos rather than Ming poke from a long distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Red team is just using their poke advantage here, getting that fort down, which is great. I kind of wish Ming was throwing all of her damage at the fort. Just because kill confirm against heroes is very difficult without CC. That was a great flank by the Blaze. Could have netted even more, probably. But yeah, great flank, good intuition there. Now with your advantage, ideally you want to go find a building to punch. Looks like you're gonna do waves mid and top. No, you're gonna punch the building. That's great. And this Hanzo, you can, as Murden, you can jump on this Hanzo like all day, especially because you took heavy impact.
That was such a good scatter right there from Hanzo. He got like the edge of the wall.
Yeah.
And ate
the
like
big
half my
chunk.
health in one scatter.
Yep. Especially with Giant Slayer, like your positioning with respect to walls on Hanzo becomes more and more significant. Like any hero, Hanzo can chunk pretty significantly. I'm surprised to not see a Blessed Shield there from Johanna. I think that all these heroes die if there's a Blessed Shield there. That's a good one too. Good follow-up arrow. Unfortunately, it looks like all the damage goes into Murden, who will walk away for free. Hanzo's getting a lot of great scatter value there. Hanzo's doing pretty good work. That's a good pick off from Lucio. That should win you the shrine. There's a little bit of trouble brewing here, I think. Looks like Zagara's gonna do with that. Yeah, that's great. Oh, maybe not. The percent damage is getting overwhelming from blue team for sure. Both Vala and Zagara percent damage is really significant. That was good aggression from Kerosene. It's good to keep them when you have this type of body advantage. If objective is kind of your win condition, which before 20 it kind of is, keeping them off that shrine from slowing down your cap a bit is great. Lucio probably could have not been there, but that happens. Without your tank, whether it be Joe or Leo, to pick up the Punisher jump, it's a lot of risk to engage it directly.
Blue team's Punisher has fallen.
Now blue team just sits back and waits for 20 and then can have a really significant advantage, especially with Vala 20. I'm very surprised to see Burn Notice instead of Combustion upgrade on 20. I think Combustion upgrade on 20 is actually a good argument for taking Combustion because it not only removes the penalty of the slow on yourself, but just activating your button, your R, causes the snare. So like Blaze Combustion goes from being this like self snare to being an AoE snare and engage in one. Like it's one of the most incredible swings, I think, for taking a talent that's kind of mediocre and making it super good. And I think Burn Notice is really low impact. It's kind of a surprising Bless Shield without any of the heroes to really follow on it, but it's a short cooldown.
Yeah, we wanted to push in on that fort before 20, but we didn't quite get on the same page, I don't think.
Yeah, that happens.
I guess we ended up going down anyway, because the Gara poke.
Yeah, Zagara poke is significant. I think when you have Vala 20, if you can get her at Hatred, you kind of just want to brawl forever, because with Farflight, Vala can just shoot heroes without consequence forever. Like, none of their abilities can touch Vala when she has auto attack range. Like, you can outrange keeps and forts with the attack range at 20. Looks like you're just being patient, the blue team. It's smart for the red team to get this. I kind of wish Leo was standing in this bush, because this is a really great bush for Murden to jump from. Like, it's such a short distance, and then the whole team can follow up from, 3 different angles. I think blue team could have been up here to punch the buildings, depending. Because Zagara can global across the map. But not sure if it's entirely worth. Ooh, Joe's a little aggressive, that team? That's tragic. Hanzo's arrow was good to salvage everybody else's lives. I think red team completely leaves the objective area, like takes care of the push coming top. Because there's no way that red team can contest this or even slow it down in any reasonable way. The best that they can do is get value elsewhere on the map, and then hope to defend when Leoric comes back up. I'm actually surprised to see Leoric not gaining CD on the depth on the shrine. Instead, just walking to lane. I'm a little concerned here for the Ming. Guess that's fine. I think that's the second time that the Joe has tried to force an engage while the Punisher was still up.
Yeah, it was a good shield and a good entomb. It's just impossible to push into a frozen Punisher.
Yeah. Any Punisher really, like the... So with Combustion 20, like all three of those heroes get snared there without even having to activate. But yeah, any Punisher, like the stun CD is pretty short, all things considered. Good end, like the Vala 20 won the game pretty definitively. Some really good like brawls that were actually pretty tight. Like both teams ended with a very small amount of HP in the end. Were there any questions that you had about that game, or any moments that you wanted to take another look back on before we maybe fire up another one?
Nothing for me. I think we covered it pretty well going through.
Cool.
No, maybe just the next to last Punisher. I probably should ask it then, but
Sure.
we pushed it onto the blue team pushed it onto the middle keep, took the wall down, and then it was still around half health, but they backed out and went to take camps. Um, was that probably the correct move, or should they have tried to push for some more damage on the keep? I don't know when it was probably like level 17 or something. It was a while back.
Yeah. Let me bring it back here.
Yeah, because it was the middle Punisher.
Yep. So back even further. So this Punisher.
This Punisher. Yeah.
Alright, so you have 5 bodies. I'm still surprised. So Murden can just jump this Ming, right? With 16 range. So the minus armor from the structure, while it feels significant, it's most significant when the structure has heroes around it. Um, so in the history of like HOTS changes, the forts in their original or not original, but their earlier before minus armor design actually hit harder and they had a slow. And then they added the
Yeah.
minus armor and significantly reduced the damage of the forts. And over time they buffed it back up, but it still actually hits only equally as hard as its original design when you have the full minus armor and you're not slowed. So the consequence of that is that it makes forts more defendable when you have the bodies, but they are basically equally as weak or even weaker when there are no bodies around them. So like you are in absolutely no chance of dying to anything if you jump on this Ming, especially since you see Leoric on your mini map.
Gotcha.
And you have like, well, you don't have Avatar yet, but you're in no danger. Lucio dies, right? Yeah. So yeah, Punisher, like from right at this moment, you're at least getting the wall, if not significantly more. Okay, so here's where you leave. So a couple of things of note. The Punisher uses its jump and Ming blinks it, right? So you've got 12 seconds till your next jump, and they've got a full 30 seconds until their healer's up. So your dive heroes, your Tarazim and your Murden, probably want to be having their eyes open for this Ming, who has no opportunity to get healed outside of going to the Hall of Storms. Your avatar is now up, so it's possibly even worth you taking the aggro from the keep off the Punisher and eating that damage for a little while so that the Punisher stays alive. because just to clarify, if you hit heroes,
Yeah, the keep
Yeah.
will target you.
Yeah.
Yep.
cool. I didn't want to assume, but yeah, I think you definitely get more value. That's a great question. Considering that your only hero with damage on them is your healer, who can teleport around and be fairly safe, and they have no real point and click damage. I think you definitely get at least half of the keep. Um, like their heroes are also pretty battered up. Ming is a good target. So yeah, I definitely think that you at least continue to pressure. You don't need to take any risks because you're almost 20, and 20 should win you the game on its own. But I think it's a really low risk proposition to take more damage on that keep when you have such a big advantage.
Okay.
But I don't think it was a bad call to back away, because from like basic HOTS math of get 20 first, win the game, that was a correct decision because you were like a full level ahead, and your level 20 is colossally better than theirs.
Okay, but staying and being a little more aggro would have been a fine decision as well.
Correct.
Okay.
So like you didn't know where the next Punisher was coming, so it could have opened up an additional win condition for you, basically. I think this is 1,000 times out of 1,000 a fight that should be taken. Like you have 4v3 under a dying fort with minions. Especially like both their frontline are lined up for a Stormbolt and then a Blaze follow up. I think those are juicy kills, and you have your 20. I don't think there's anything for you to be afraid of because you know Ming is here, right, on your mini map.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not an always, but as you like, I don't know if you and your crew are all sticking together for a long period of time, but as you learn each other's play styles, testing your aggression limits is a great way to play, especially if you're playing a quick match. Just learning how much aggression that you can put under a tower, for example. Because I definitely I've been a tank player for a little while, um, and seeing that minus armor when other heroes are there hurts real bad. Um, but learning when you can go in and go like get those kills, and put that pressure on is pretty valuable. So yeah, that's addressing that Punisher question that you had. Was there anything else that you wanted to address or talk about? I don't know if there's other. I think a consideration like talent wise considerations. The repeating arrow, like synergy or lack thereof was a thing. Um, I think that combustion 20 is awesome. I think that they should give it a try because it's fun. And E13 is a lot of damage. This isn't a bad talent, um, but E13 is like gives Blaze assassin level burst, which is something that your team, your composition lacks. So getting that burst pop is pretty valuable. And then on the red team, like Sin's exposed is fine, but Joe lacks move speed, and move speed is valuable. And then the level 4, I think explosive arrows was by design a big part of the red team's shrine clear. The Hanzo was doing a lot of work with their scatters, but scatter 4 doesn't actually add to your PvP DPS in any way, where Q4 will add to your DPS no matter what build you are if you're hitting minions by accident. Yeah, cool game. It was close throughout the whole way. It was a good one. Yeah, anything else?
No, thank you.
Cool. Do you want to fire up another one, or are you guys? I've kind of been talking at you for an hour. I don't know if you're burnt out or if you wanted to look at another one.
It's up to you. I'm fine hanging out.
Cool. I can do another one if you want. Um, Do you have a preference of one of your games, or Late Tomb was requested from somebody apparently? Oh, by a player that isn't there, but I guess they'll watch the stream. So I'll take a look at that one. Late Tomb. Late night replays. Tomb of the Spider Queen. Very cool. Okay. So, since neither of you were in this match, there's a little extra distance. Let's talk about our compositions and kind of what we're looking at here. So let's look
I'm
at
in
the
this
blue
match. I'm on Zag again.
team. Oh, okay, cool. Zagara, I'm guessing, is a personal favorite.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean it's a
That's
fun
my
hero.
that's my level 200 character.
Oh wow, I don't think I have
versus
I don't have any heroes at that level.
I have a lot more in like the 30 to 80 range, but she gets a lot of attention.
Yeah. I believe strongly in playing the heroes that are most fun for you, for sure.
It didn't clinch it in this match.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of clear on both sides.
Yep. So basically, Oh, go ahead.
I like having Shrine Vision or Turn-in Vision on this map as well.
Definitely valuable. So yeah, both comps have a lot of wave clear, which is extremely important on this map. The Zagara provides vision over the objective turn-ins, which is powerful. In a somewhat similar way, so do Anubarak beetles. So yeah, it's interesting to see a composition with no bruiser. So it's a triple assassin, single tank comp. So 5v5s might be a little awkward, but the 1v1 for Zagara, I think, is favored against all of the opposing heroes. So cool. And then on the other side, they have... So one side is more of a like poke, a lot of spell damage comp. That's the blue side. And then the red team has a big CC chain. Anubarak, Zool, enable the Jaina, and then any of Sylph's ults will also enable that big CC chain. So yeah, awesome. It looks like the Sylvanas comp is going to go for some top lane cheese, which I'm not sure if top lane... I guess that's fine. It's the shortest path from mid is to top lane, so it's the quickest to respond to. But at the same time, it's against a Diablo comp, which only has one real effective CC to punish that kind of engage. So I'm actually somewhat surprised to not see Zool there with them. But I also see the reasoning behind the red team taking the Zool and leaving it mid. Though eating the damage for free is maybe a no-no. So that's great. Red team got a full tower for free with 0 risk. Zool creates a lot of pressure on the map with those skeletons. I'm actually...
Something we struggled with this entire match was...
the Zool push. Yeah.
In general, pushing, like they just handled us very well as far as maintaining pressure.
Gotcha. So does Zool double soak mid bot is kind of what it looks like, and then the 4 push top kind of seems like how this game is going to shake out?
I think they ended up rotating just quite a lot.
Okay. That's a good way to play this type of composition. I'm surprised to see the Zool attempt a trade here. Just trading HP one way that red can play, not saying that what they're doing is wrong, but one way that red can play is also to have the Zool double mid and top because it's a safer rotation. Like there's no vision corridor here, where if Zool ever wants to double, Zool has to go through this like vision death trap where a tank could be hiding for a pick. Not saying that like what their arrangement is wrong, but like the Zagara bullies the Zool and the Brightwing teleport is always there, so that Zagara is hard to rotate on. Where Zool, to like really be effective at doing Zool things, wants to push, let the skeletons push forward, and then to move throughout the map rather than to duel, like Zool's kind of stuck doing right now. Looks like they just got wave cryo here, which they can probably do at any time because they have Jaina and Rhaegar. Does Sylve die? Close. I think that Sylvanas kill could happen with a little more like either reserving your abilities to where you have them when somebody's vulnerable, or more active communication on like weaker targets or vulnerable targets. So right here, blue team is rotating top when mid wave is what's crashing next. So even if you kill this wave as soon as they crash, you're going to be behind in mid. And Sylve could take an entire tower in that 10-second span between the rotations. Probably not going to happen, but it's something to look out for. Here's an example of kind of what happened once or twice last game, where the 4 is now split. And because of that, these two are now vulnerable. Especially Brightwing before 10, before Blink Heal, is actually a super, super vulnerable healer. She has very little ability to heal herself or get out of danger. It's fortunate that the red team has split off to do this camp, it appears. I'm actually surprised that it's not Sylve, that it's Jaina and not Sylve doing the camp. But maybe they're both going on to it, which I think... I'm not sure if it speeds it up significant enough to where it's worth losing your wave clear priority. I find possession a little bit questionable on this map, just because the poison talent at 4 makes Sylve's wave clear one of the best and cheapest in the game. That's a good attempt on the Zagara. Now it looks like the blue team is juggling 3 or 4 different priorities. So Zag almost got ganked. Diablo's dealing with the camp. Tygus is getting the camp. And Orphea is turning in 8. You know, kind of as I pointed out before, the doing one thing together makes it go by more efficiently than doing 4 things at once. It is much
rather
safer.
than 8, we could have turned in almost 40.
Yes.
If we'd all been.
Yep. So like everybody should clear the camp, and then everybody should do the camp. And you should do it when you're allowed to, like when the waves are taken care of. You know, at this point, like this wall is probably done for, because it's Sylve Jaina with a possession wave. So double archers. This wall is certainly done for, especially like your wave clear hero that's not Zagara is on the camp. So that's just everybody had a priority that they saw was important, and none of them were wrong in thinking that things were important. I am very surprised that Sylve is not on this wall. Like this whole wall should have died.
Yeah, that was a really big wave to just
Let the
Let-
wall kill with
Yeah.
no opposition. Like even just counting the heroes that the enemy team could see, like they saw Diablo, the red team saw Diablo in midwave. Like they're completely safe from any engage because they only had like blue team only has one engage, and it's Diablo, and it's not an engage that can actually stop a wall push. It's one of Diablo's kind of flaws is Diablo is not great at stopping wall pushes because there's no walls to bang over here. So yeah, this the whole wall should be dead, and instead they have a camp, which camps are great if you can enable them, but just getting a camp for the sake of getting a camp doesn't do anything. And now they're doing a push, and that's great. Now the push is coming. But now everybody's here to respond with full health, and it's like a full 5v5 team fight.
There's a lot of tank on tank action going on.
Yes. It's I would be surprised to see Orphea live through this route. Looks like they got scared. That's fine. It's great that blue has this camp pushing while this brawl is happening. But generally, you're going to want to use that camp to push. Especially, like, this team is mostly spell damage. It's Jaina and Sylve. Under this mage minion, all of your heroes have plus 20 spell armor. So any fight taken under that camp is massively in your favor. But now they're going to clear it for free. Which is smart for them to take that opportunity. Zul's such an annoying hero to push into because of the way that he can clear waves. I'm sure you felt that in the game.
Yeah. The only good thing is my roachlings don't turn into skeletons.
Yes. I'm kind of curious what Jane is doing floating here. My suspicion is that there either weren't active comms calling Jaina up to this rotation, or Jaina was just scared of losing a wall to this wave. But this engage is gonna come in hard and fast, and Jaina's most of their snap damage. I was really surprised to not see a noob go hard on that. Because Brightwing without Blink Heal is really vulnerable. Getting the wave is good, but doing everything as 4, that was a good combo to land by the Orphea. Another good example, I'm going to go back to that actually. I think Diablo wants to be maintaining the vision here rather than autoing the wave, especially because if you auto the wave as the tank, you're going to pick up the gems, and the tank doesn't want to carry the gems because even though they have the most health, when you're trying to contest a turn in and like ward, you can't have your DPS ward for you while you turn in as the tank. So like, you see them here. The tank wants to be at the closest hidden vision to the enemy team. Because so say instead of autoing that wave, you had been here, you could have ran up and killed this Sylve. The Sylve could have been dead to a shadow charge. Especially let's see. Yeah, auto attack build. You easily could have taken her health.
They accommodated me for game 3, letting me play Zag, and he took tank from me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Generally, tanks don't auto attack waves. Um, you are most impactful as a tank when you're providing vision from out of vision. Um, Especially if you're a like snap engage tank like a Garrosh or a Diablo or a Muradin. Um, because your autoing the wave does not speed it up basically at all. Um, Especially with heroes like Orvia and Tychus. Um,
I'll have to try to iron that out of my brain because I think in the match before this I played a new Barak and
mhm.
I I play a lot of macro characters, so I'm just used to doing waves and minions. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I waste a lot of mana and a lot of cooldowns on stuff I probably shouldn't as the tank.
Yeah, it's a hard habit to break, especially because like the most popular tank in the game, Johanna, is a wave tank. So like she scoops the wave, and then she's not so much a hide in the bushes tank. Like you still should at times, but um, her power on the wave is very impactful, and she doesn't have a snap engage out of the bush anyway. Besides Bless Shield, where like Diablo's whole kit is best thrown from out of vision. But yeah, that's just a habit. Like you can try to play, games where the only time you're visible is when you're going for an engage. Um, and sometimes, as the tank, um, you don't need to press buttons. You just walk at them, and that is almost as effective as pressing your buttons. Like it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but unless you're queuing to get a good wall check on somebody to set up a kill, there's no reason to do it because you don't get points for every time you stun somebody. You only get points for when they die. But if you can like walk up to them, they have to walk away because otherwise you flip them and push them into your team. So just walking at somebody is like an engage for Diablo. Same thing with like Garrosh.
It is over for now.
Here's a good example of like if you were here, there were wall checks against their team. Not saying it would have gotten you kills, but like the opportunities are there.
My altar awaits the gems. Bring them. Bring me.
I'm a
At the
little.
very least, it slows down the rotation next time because they think I can't walk there.
Yep, exactly. I'm a little surprised to see all spell armor from a noob rather than beetles. Almost exclusively because if you spawn a bunch of beetles as a noob, you're eating banelings with them, and they have spell armor. I'm very surprised to see.
We really only had Orphea doing spell damage.
Yeah.
I guess kind of me, but Banelings eat
Yeah.
or bugs eat Banelings just as well as better than spell armor does, anyways.
Yep. And roachlings will attack beetles sometimes as well.
Whatever they see first.
Yep. So this Zagara is super dead. Or she should be. I'm quite surprised to not see an engage there.
Yeah, not a stun or a root. I was surprised too. You don't plan on having the whole other team pop up on you?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see Sylv now being bottom to trade against the Zagara. Because like Zul is not known for being a team fight hero. Has to be in melee to do significant damage. Their main draw to their kit is their point and click root. But outside of that, like Zul kind of has a Malthael-esque game loop where like you walk in, you throw your ultimate, which is actually your E on Zul. and then you walk away and go 2 lanes again.
I like it.
So I'm actually really surprised to not see, like, this is such a great composition that Red drafted to do a Azul double soak mid top with a Sylph push bottom. Because like the Diablo is not the type of tank that you really want to have to defend hard pushes like that with, typically. Like, it's not the worst in the world, but it's not how Diablo wants to play. Just taking a quick stock of the talents. The healing totem is a little surprising, but it's not bad. I think I've seen the heroes on the red team below 50% often, to where the Q talent at 4 would have gotten some mileage, but it's not bad. It's just really easy for Tychus to kill with like a grenade and an auto, or Orphea or Zagara. We're almost at 10s. I'm actually surprised to see them brawling before 10s, because even if they had 10s at this moment, they can't fight you because they're at half health. I'm really surprised to see the Zul not rip the E on the Orphea. The Orphea will die if E is ripped on it and Jaina has abilities. A note about taps. I am a believer that if your tap is not going to top you off, don't use it. Because even if, so like, say we're on a map with a timed objective, if Anub'arak was at this full amount of tapped health and the objective pinged, Anub'arak would hearth to be at full. So why waste your tap in an instance where it's not even going to bring you to like fighting health? But also the engage here, like against, so the Anub'arak is going for what appears to be a 4v5. But Anub'arak is going to eat a polymorph the second they pop out of this tunnel, and Diablo has abilities to push Diablo or the Anub'arak further from their team. And Jaina doesn't have the reach to follow up on this anyway. Like, even if Jaina is Blizzard build, which Jaina is not, they're not level 13 to have the reach to follow up on this engage. And Brightwing's there, so like, the hero's not going to die anyway. I think the Shadow Charge was meant to be for the Anub'arak and was maybe not successfully clicked. It's a good flip. Yeah, a lot of cooldowns were traded and no kills. That's actually pretty impressive, especially from the healers. I don't like the root on Diablo. What's up?
Being that this has been like, almost a 30-second engagement at this point, I probably should have rotated up and joined the fight, I feel like.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I am not sure if I'm a believer of Nidus on this map, because Spiders is such a small map, and on creep, it's probably gonna net you 2 seconds of like time, like counting the Nidus channel and the unchannel, and to walk out into lane. And then also, this map is not always, but it is often won either on a boss throw or an invade throw or a counter invade. Like, they come and invade a camp, and then you devouring Maw and win the fight because it's in a choke, and that ultimate is awesome. But yes,
I do also lose utility on it later on. They start paying attention to it and killing them when they get the chance.
But yes, I think that's an accurate observation that as soon as the fight really broke out, you should have came and like somebody should have called you to the fight. It is unfortunate that the value that you got while they were brawling and winning a 4v5 was a camp. I think camps are like super impactful if done for a reason, and then worthless if not. And this camp, like, if you didn't do this camp, you kill this wave and it gets on the towers and you drop your bugs and the tower and this fort dies. Where at best this camp is going to get the fort if it goes undefended. So either do the split push thing or don't. But getting a camp is like what you do for a bonus rather than an active thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, Grizzly
more the-
64 on Sylvanas. I heard that guy's pretty good.
What was that?
He was saying that he had heard that Grizzly 64 on Sylvanas was pretty good.
Oh yeah, the best even. I'm surprised to see a Nubarak not Hearth at that HP and that mana. Like, this is a spell rotation for a Nubarak. A Nubarak's kind of one of those tanks that, like, wants to aggressively Hearth. Like, every single fight, a Nubarak probably wants to Hearth, because all of a Nubarak's spells cost a fortune. And Anu has very low self-sustain mechanics. Like, it's one of the few tanks that has absolutely zero self-heal. So you want to Hearth kind of all the time. Or use your spells more efficiently, but... Getting the camp is good. Especially, like, the red team can now either push with the camp or use it to get the turn in. The Zagara goaltending the turn in is rough. And then there's very little kill pressure on the Diablo because of the lack of percent damage. And the Fire Stomp can just kind of continuously poke on a pretty short cooldown. I'm again surprised to see Zool not doing the offlane thing and Sylvanas doing it instead. This fight goes all sorts of ways. So it was a 4v4, and everybody's kind of just throwing their ults. And the Anu, because they didn't take that Hearth, now has no abilities and is basically not a hero. That's tough. That's a good rotation onto this Brightwing, who will probably die from it, but still doesn't get outsaved.
Yeah,
It's just like what you were talking about, where Faya took that route. So
I had to kill her because she's on my NGS team. I had to show
Oh, there you
up.
go. All right, so the Maw comes out, or not the Maw, the Jaws come out, and the follow-up.
It was an awesome Jaws, by the way.
Yeah, the Jaws are good. So the fight starts here. Fight started.
I think that elemental lived longer than it needed to.
Yeah. So let's see how long it takes for the DPS to show up. So right here, Zagara throwing Banelings on a wave is maybe a bit of a red card, since the fight is like actually happening almost on your screen.
And you could also tip the scales, make it a 5v4 right there.
Yeah. Like, the Banelings aren't gonna switch the fight, but dropping all of your bugs definitely is impactful. And just having that extra health pool. Like, Zagara has a reasonable amount of health for an assassin. Especially if you had Maw right here. Like, if you put Maw right in this spot, like, come from this shadow and Maw
Close off
here.
the escape and catch anyone who happened to have been there.
Yep. Like, this whole team fight is significantly different. Also, like, if you're in this bush, Zagara doesn't get to walk into your healer. Not Zagara. Sylvanas doesn't get to walk into your healer for free.
I think either one of these last two team fights we've seen is just turned on its head if there's an Odin in it.
Yeah, why is there not an Odin in it? That's very interesting. I get so a lot of Tychus players think that Tychus is brought for the percent damage, which percent damage is great, but they don't have high health heroes, and Tychus's mage abilities do an absurd amount of damage.
Dude, that grenade is mean. I hate Tychus grenade.
The grenade is strong. The Q is strong. And Odin is the most damaging mage in the entire game. Like, if you could have a hero that was Odin, it would be busted. Yeah, like Odin splash on here is disgusting. I think Tychus might have just broken their R button.
He may be holding it for like defense of the forts, because that's what a lot of people do. But
yeah, killing the heroes defends the forts pretty well. So here, the Zagara backed up to put some distance between them and the fight. And it's another great example of just using your body like an ability.
Being in front of Sylvanas instead.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't underestimate the value of auto attacking, especially if everybody's already shooting somebody else. Even if you're a mage, like even Kael'thas or like Jaina, like use your auto attacks.
As soon as she popped up, like I was focused on her, but it was just too little, too late. And a body block, like I see what you're saying, a body block would have been more useful than just standing in my off position.
And like, it doesn't even have to be like at this moment, I should have thought to body block. If you had just proactively stepped forward to where you are auto attacking these heroes, you wouldn't have even had to think about covering this flank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you killed the Sylvanas. All of your buttons go onto her as soon as she's showing. But removing your, removing having to make the decision in the first place can be good. Yeah, that was well executed by the red team. Like to eat that Jaws and to not get completely popped was great. Rhaegar is an absurdly impactful healer. Like the ancestral and the healing that Q does with spread is amazing.
Yeah, the healer was on point too, if I remember correctly.
So here's just exactly as you called using Odin for the defense. Yeah, I mean it's fine. But winning the team fight is like always play to win rather than play to not lose. And so like using Odin in the team fight, it's like using Ragnaros building to win a team fight rather than saving it to not lose the fort is usually the play. Because you want to try to win, not to not lose. Want to take a look at that?
That was me in a bad place again.
So yeah. I mean, they had a good engage angle on Orphea. Like they are definitely like active on the map, looking to fight you.
Yeah, and I didn't read into some of these team fights. Like in this moment, they don't have a complete turn in. We do have a complete turn in.
Yep.
We have the time to kind of be idle, and in my idea, it was to make lane pressure and then get turn in, but I didn't read this fight right, so I wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm. And that happens. One thing to like as a unit or as a team to constantly communicate kind of what your next step is. Because while Zagara can take the camp alone, like you're trading most of your mana bar and your health bar to do it.
Yeah, I
Where
didn't do the. I
if
have a
it,
lane clear or a camp clearing build that is much more efficient.
yeah, but like Orphea was around here when this team fight started to break out. If Orphea had just come down to the camp, like Orphea is safe and the camp gets done more efficiently, and then you can get back to business. It's more about if everybody is communicating what the next step is, people can do things more together, and the more together you do things, the safer you are.
I definitely had it in my head plan versus a communicated plan because, like, if I had talked it out, I probably would have asked them to do the bruiser camp, and I could have taken the siege camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is a skill that comes with time, like communicating your intentions and the impact of those intentions takes a lot. Um, and I think it's best to learn to do those things on a hero that you already know how to play. Like Zagara for you is a great example because like that's your. It sounds like that's your most played hero. Um, Even if you like take as a personal drill, and this I think this goes for like basically any player. This is what like I did when I was like learning to shot call is to like actively talk about what you're doing, even if you're not playing with a team. Because then you get used to the process of just using your mouth all the time. Because it's an extra APM is talking that a lot of people underestimate. So yeah, that team fight goes a little backwards. 2-for-1 is like not the end of the world. It's unfortunate because almost all the value that this camp should have gotten you, like you could have used this to force turn in probably, which actually it looks like you probably can do right here anyway. Yeah. I wish my UI wasn't broken so I could see how many souls Diablo had. So I don't think auto attack build is bad. I think it can be really effective against certain heroes, but it is the hardest build to get your souls back on. And so, because you have to auto attack people like 100 times or whatever, like it's a soul per auto attack, if I remember correctly. Yeah, like 1 soul for auto. Where W build, you get a soul for every 3 times you hit an enemy with a flame stomp. But 1 flame stomp can hit like 7 or 8 procs, and you can do them from range rather than in melee. So like I have on Diablo, this is great using the Odin for the siege. That's perfect. But like a W build Diablo can fill up their bar of souls in the duration of like a single fight, from the base 25 sometimes. Like I've had games where I died like I think 7 or 8 times and I only spent like 30 seconds dead just because I had souls every single time I died. I do think Diablo needs to be standing in front, especially when you're an all-assassin team. I know it's not fun getting punched in the face, especially as solo tank. But you always gotta escort the people. You've got a pretty good map advantage. The unfortunate part about spiders is the more map advantage you have, the harder it is for you to get the gems to win. So while it's not a necessarily recommended strategy to do, like trying to more chain your turn-ins or get maximum impact on your turn-ins is ideal. Like, forts are great, but keeps are really what matter. Like, I would rather get one lane with the keep down than all the forts down, if that makes sense. Because you can't win the game unless the keep is down. So having any win condition is valuable.
We also could never just like finish their team, and so like they always had enough gems for the next turn in.
Yeah, that's a great double kill. Looks like you're protecting the gems, which is good. I'm surprised to see Sylve get away with murder in the middle of your team. But without, because I think Polymorph was used earlier. Without Polymorph, you have no CC. Which is like the main detriment of a... Like the two things that you lose out when taking a triple assassin team rather than your classical double assassin, double frontline, is you lose CC and you lose health pool size. Like right now, Diablo is compelled to tank the boss because there's not a health pool that wants to tank it, which isn't the end of the world because all of them are dead. But
They need a melee assassin in there if they're going 3 assassins.
that's that is possible. Like
You
it
get that
kind of
CC.
depends. Yeah, it depends on the melee assassin. Is Odin up? Yeah, Odin should be used. There we go, perfect. It's unfortunate that Zagara doesn't have mana, because Zagara without mana isn't a hero. This Jaina was doing something cool positioning here. If you know, if the
I
opportunity
think she was
arose,
ready to throw down an elemental if she had
yeah,
seen a good moment for it.
yep, it was a smart look to try to get a play there. This zone right here is actually like really crucial to control. It's something that you can use as a majority of tanks that have ranged engage, like Diablo, Stitches, Anu. Is either team can use this little corridor to launch a flank engage from.
This is where we were having some internal arguments of like, get your focus on the core. We're here. It's all done. You just need to get the core. Hit the core. Nope, let's refocus the heroes when they come out. No, get the core, get the core. Nope, let's put our attention back on the heroes again. Get the core, get the core, get the core.
I definitely think the core should die.
It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this match turns right here.
Wow. That is very surprising. So, the heroes that they had up were Zul, Anubarak, and Rhaegar, who individually should not have had significant kill pressure as long as you were spread out. Because all of them can do AoE, CC, and or damage. Like Zul slows your auto attack speed, which is very significant for Tychus. And auto attack Diablo. So having a good spread, I think Diablo doing this is unfortunate because there's no world that this camp matters for Diablo's team, but it can significantly affect in a positive way the red team.
And especially a staggered kill with no souls.
Yep. And that's another thing about auto attack build Diablo, like not having souls. Souls is like a really, really significant part of Diablo's power pie. Like not only just being low on souls affects how some of your talents work, but it also just like being able to respawn instantly is a huge part of how Diablo's playstyle works. Diablo is very much like I'm going to go in and trade my life one for one or one for two, and then respawn. Especially with the way that Diablo's ultimates work. Because like they're long cooldown, like big AoE, bombastic ults.
Double ancestral healing, man. Such a big reset.
Ancestral 20 is pretty good. This game's not... Well, now it's probably over because Orphea is a big part of your damage buy. Was
It's not
right
over
when-
right here. It's
Oh,
just
wow.
from here on, it's a continued. They get away with a lot of stuff. They play it a little bit safer, and they get away like low, and then we continue to make mistakes as a team.
I think
Oh.
that if blue team just gets 5 and goes down top lane without dying, Odin should finish the core.
Go, my web weavers. Slaughter the blue team.
Yeah, during this time, right after we survived the core, we were just like, we need to hunt down Diablo, so that's why we were like spread out. Just and then here we thought for sure you guys would backdoor us, but
And this is where I probably threw the match because
Oh,
I called it
both,
like
both of you die here.
yeah.
That's
I
rough.
called it, and I just shouldn't have been there. We should have just defended, other lanes and then come up here as a team. But
Yep.
I called like as soon as it hit, and as soon as I saw that they were all up here, I called that they were up here, hung out at the keep, and then hung out too long, and then Right Wing tried to save me.
Yeah.
So my bad initially.
It wasn't the only thing that
We're bad
lost the
on the
game,
assist.
but those deaths there definitely. So some big takeaways are like on that core push at the end, like when it's time to put the bodies on the core, that's what people do. I think Diablo W build with Soul Shield is actually immortal into their team. I think that they have absolutely no kill pressure into W Diablo. I think Nubarak Beetle build can be significantly more durable in that game.
I'm a big believer in the Beetle build.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the type of damage profile and like what you can interrupt with beetles. Like beetles don't do anything to Orphea because all of Orphea's abilities are like skill
Area
linear.
strikes.
Correct, but it does everything to Zagara. And Zagara is really the only one that's going to have kill pressure onto the beetle anyway, onto a Nubarak. Like the difference between 40 spell armor and 60 is significant if and only if that shield can make you live or not live. Which will basically never be the case against like Orphea, who's a sustained damage mage, really. Tychus build makes sense. Use Odin more. Use ults more in general, I think. And then I think Zagara Ma is upgrade. I think Rhaegar, the 13 talent, is just factually worse than the Q talent. Just by the math, the Q talent does more healing regardless of anything else in your build. Like even if your full totem build, totem 13 is less than Q13 healing. Jaina's build is pretty normal.
And that's if the enemy lets your totem live, right?
Correct.
Like if they just kill the totem, then it does nothing.
Yeah. Even if the totem lives full duration, Q13 is better. Just by the sheer numbers of it. And it's excessively better if you have Q4. Yeah. Possession isn't bad, but I like exploding minions because it increases your wave clear and takes the wave clear burden off of the Jaina. Because Jaina without Blizzard is not Jaina. Like her damage is more or less non-existent without Blizzard, so she has to use it on every wave. Because Jaina has to clear, like without Poison 4, Jaina has to clear all the waves. And to maintain wave prio, you might want to use Blizzard. Like it kind of depends on your strategy. but the poison really takes that weight off of Jaina, and it also increases your clear of Weavers because all the minions that stand under the Weaver in that formation, they all explode on the Weaver and do just tons and tons of damage. Yeah. Any questions about that game? Anything that you wanted to look back on before we call it?
No, I called
Uh,
myself
did
out enough.
did you save this video, or are you gonna have this video somewhere or no?
Yeah, I'm
Because
streaming
I only
it.
saw this last one.
I am streaming it. Both games were streamed on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/specialchai. And yeah, so it'll save there, and you can watch it if you want to watch it back. And if you have any
All right,
questions,
cool.
like looking back on it, feel free to send me a DM. We can talk about it. I don't mind.
So I just have a question about like the core push at the not this one but the other one where they got it to 2%.
Yeah.
So you want your tank doesn't necessarily want to hit the core.
Correct. Your
They
tank
want to
is
just
a
kind of
distractor.
bother Anubarak so he doesn't CC your people basically.
Yeah, like it depends on which hero. So like Zool is actually probably the most troublesome against the friendly heroes in that end push because the W slows
The
and
area
slows attack
W.
speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if Diablo is just pushing Zool around and away from the friendlies, that
Yeah, and the
can
Q cuts down on attack damage.
yeah. So getting the Zool away is pretty impactful.
Yeah. So the tank kind of just wants to sit in the door and not let people out, and everybody else wants to hit the core,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah, 2%. It's a couple of autos from the other heroes had they been kept alive just a tad longer. But
I also wasn't able to get when I came out of the weave. I think I only got Rojaline's off. I don't think I got my Hydralisk off, or if I did, it died immediately with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really tough.
I thought I'd be able to kill that last 6%, and I didn't.
Yeah, it's hard when because getting the extra kills makes it feel easier. Um, but especially past 20, once the shield is down, the core's HP melts pretty quick. And in case it's not clear, the core's shield is 40% of its max HP. So really, a core at 100% full shields is at 140%. Once you've done that shield damage, you basically made it through a really significant amount of the core's quote unquote base health.
That's why core diving in ARAM is so easy.
Exactly. No shield.
Yeah.
I didn't see Hellgate used much. But if you're not aware of the Hellgate combo, that is similar to the like stereotypical Diablo APOC combo. It's very useful as like a single target engage, where you use your Hellgate and then you flip them and it holds them in the micro stun to more or less guarantee the Hellgate. It's great on immobile heroes like Zool and Jaina. But that's a good utility to like take into try mode. Yeah. Any other questions?
Not for me. I appreciate you going over it though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if there's a question that comes to you at another time, just let me know. You can always catch me on Discord. I hang out often. Yeah, if there's nothing else, I'll shut down the stream.